Hello, welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toibon Jabela, and this is the front page of our new look, Namibian Sun. So today we are having a very special session here. I'm joined in the studio by my colleague and friend, Alexander Fase, who is our training officer and creative director here at Namibia Media Holdings. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Toivo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Tell me first, you were the main man behind the new look and feel of Namibian Sun. We are so thankful. The public is so excited. We've received a lot of comments today. People saying, you know, the newspaper looks great today. Thanks to you. So, but tell us the idea, the conceptualization. What did you have in mind when you were creating this?
Let me start first, Toivo, that obviously we had discussions over the past weeks. Changing a newspaper and changing a brand is not so easy to do. You must be very careful that you don't frighten readers and that they still have a little bit of their old sun in the newspaper. Yes. So that's why it was really like a team effort. So it was, when you say the big man behind the design, obviously it was an entire team working. Yes. And that's a good thing, because this should be a team effort. So it's always important when you're doing a redesign or rebranding on a publication, is that you always take in mind the reader. How can we make it more easier and better for the reader? So what we did is we changed some fonts, we changed some font types, and we made it a little bit easier for the reader to read the text. It's a much more clear text. Also the headline fonts are much more clear and also suits more the direction you wanted to have. And that was the main goal. And obviously we look at other things as what is happening on websites, what is happening on television, and then you can ask yourself, what does that have to do with newspapers? But it's the way how people are accessing news, and newspapers must fit in that role as well.
Sure. No, thanks, because one of the comments on Twitter was like, apparently it looks so international. He said, one of the readers said, you know, he has reshuffled the order in which he's reading his newspapers now, with Namibian Sun being the first one to read now. So that is an immediate impact that you and your creative team have done, and we are thankful for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's go for the. I know that you and your team have also been busy with a lot of things lately. Past couple of weeks building in the build up to this week, especially Independence Day tomorrow. Maybe tell us what you've been up to again as far as your work is concerned.
What we did is, in the past couple of weeks, we came up with a campaign to celebrate 30 years independence Namibia. So first of all, the launch today of the Namibian Sun, the new Namibian Sun, was one of those items. And for the rest, we started with an archive system where people can access our newspapers and can go through the newspapers. We also started with the NMH Video Hub. So that's a website where all the broadcasts which are done by the Namibia Media Holdings company are collected and archived. So for instance, the Evening Review, you can go back and you can watch the entire episode, but it's also for the other publication broadcasts what we do. So for instance, Business 7, Sport Rap, very popular, and of course Kletskompas.
Let's for the sake of the viewers, maybe first look at when Mr. Fase talks about the NMH Media Hub. What is he talking about? Watch. Welcome back. That was our NMH Media Hub, where you can watch all our video materials, all our broadcasts, and I'm just seated again with our training officer and art director, Alexander Fase. That was great work.
Thanks.
Take us through your events calendar. What is it?
So the events calendar is another part of our campaign for this week or this month, celebrating 30 years independence. Is what we have seen is that, and I saw that also with myself, that sometimes you say over the weekend, is there really something to do in Windhoek or at the coast or in the north or in the south? Yeah. So what we did at NMH, we started with compiling an entire list of events and making that an events calendar. And then we came to the conclusion that there are so many events happening in Namibia. It's really enormous. Yes, yes. So it's not only about the events, it's also about schools activities and sport activities. Obviously now, due to COVID-19, yes, a couple of those events are now cancelled. Yes. But I think what the viewers must know as well is that when everything is starting again, it's an excellent platform to access and to see what's happening, so that we can start up our social life again.
Yes, very, very important. I think the events calendar will become particularly important, yes, after all this coronavirus issue has ended, because now everybody's, I drove past some places last night, and places that are normally full and nobody was there.
Yes.
So you could see the fear in people, but so it means essentially that NMH, your team, and all of us will actually be very, very important in provoking the appetite of the social appetite of people again after everything is
exactly
back to normal. But so let's look again also at how the NMH event calendar looks like, as just explained here. Welcome back. That was our Namibia Media Holdings events calendar, that another initiative that we've created here to help you understand and know where is whatever is happening in the country, socially in particular. So that was another great initiative. And but before I let you go, Alexander, first again to thank you very much for the look and feel of the
It's a pleasure.
I cannot thank you enough.
It's a pleasure
for your work on that. But what are your last few words before I let you go?
I think what is very important for this week, with the 30 years independence celebrations, and what we want to do at NMH is to but to share information and to empower communities. And with this archive and the NMH Video Hub, and with the events calendar, we make and we create, and we let you experience history.
Thank you very much. That has been a great input from you, Alexander. I think keep up the good work.
Thanks.
But we are very, very grateful. I think we are really revolutionizing, if there's such a word, the media industry in Namibia, and I'm very happy to be part of this institution and the processes, and I'm learning all the time from guys like yourself. So thank you very much for that. I cannot thank you enough.
It's a pleasure to work with you, Toivo, always.
Sure.
Thanks.
That was my colleague Alexander Fase, who is our training officer and art director here at Namibia Media Holdings, just letting us in on some of the new developments that we are busy with here at Namibia Media Holdings. I'll be back. Now, in this segment, I'm joined by the CEO of the Namibia Tourism Board, Digu Noabeb. Digu, thank you very much for making time to come and see us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, yeah. Look, let's get into this. The tourism is among the sectors affected mostly by this pandemic of the coronavirus. But maybe before we go into that, tell me first the role of NTB.
Yeah, basically the role of the Namibia Tourism Board, as we are established by Act of Parliament, is basically first and foremost to promote Namibia as a preferred tourism destination, both internationally and locally within Namibia. And the second function thereof is to regulate the tourism industry by setting standards, so that basically whatever services we are offering in terms of facilities are matching international standards, through which we will be then attracting tourists to come visit our own country.
Lovely. So how difficult is it to market Namibia at this present moment?
It is very challenging because currently there is a lockdown in some of the main source markets, such as Italy, almost France. So in fact, trying to even use media to try and encourage or to work with the trade is virtually impossible, because no one wants to meet anyone. So it becomes a challenge. So we have to think more creatively so that we could then use platforms such as these ones, like the social or digital marketing platform, because when people are locked down, they are able to probably keep themselves busy by getting onto social media and those kind of platforms. But then again, that requires a different approach, which as an organization we have never been able to transform to. We are now only at the infancy stage, trying to embrace and adopt a digital marketing approach.
Definitely. But the irony now for me, Digu, is the fact that the 3 cases that have been confirmed of coronavirus in the country are actually involving tourists, ironically. What is it that the industry and all the stakeholders are doing, especially from your side as the industry, to now ensure that somehow there's no further spread of the virus, especially those that are being brought in the country by tourists? Yeah,
basically, it's unfortunate that it is the tourists who are the ones who got diagnosed with this COVID-19. As a country which is allowed to approach, and a bold step that we have taken is that we have sealed our borders to try and minimize more tourists coming in and thereby spreading the virus. However, as an industry, we have taken cognizance of that. Unfortunately, we cannot close businesses in this point in time because it's not of a major magnitude level. However, we had discussions as the industry. They have taken the commitment to ensure that the facilities will be sanitized on a regular basis. We have also agreed that they have to constantly educate their employees in fact, for them to protect themselves, no matter whether they are using gloves, if they have to clean rooms and beddings, because that is the way how you can even get in touch with the virus, because if it is on a surface or so forth. And then, of course, to sanitize their hands as well, and to keep the social distance. Likewise, we have also indicated to the industry, if tourists are arriving or the guests, no matter whether they are Namibians or international, they still have also to be sensitized on point of arrival to take care of do measures to ensure that they protect themselves. So that is basically what we have agreed.
Indeed. And these countries, these European countries that are, not just European countries, but the countries that are most affected at the moment by the virus, your China, Italy, France, the 3 cases that are confirmed in Namibia are involving
Germans, national.
Yeah, exactly. How important are some of these countries to our tourism economy? Countries like Italy, China, Germany, how important?
Yeah, basically, these are the main artery or the main vein for our industry. Basically, if you look at the international arrivals outside Africa, the number 1 is Germany, followed by Britain. And then, of course, the 3rd place, normally they swap between Italy and France. And then you get Spain and Portugal. So basically, all these countries are the ones that are affected, which only not Namibia as a country have sealed our borders. Even their own countries, their own governments have actually also blocked them from traveling. So it becomes very critical, because virtually, so to say, overnight, our existence have been wiped out, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Moving away from coronavirus, Digu, you spoke about your second mandate as that of being the regulator of some sort, you know, setting standards. How difficult is it for upcoming tourism operators in the country? If I'm an SME, I'm coming into this industry, I don't have all the resources. What provisions are there for me to be sort of given a bit of maybe lenient space to operate until I reach the standard?
Actually, no, the regulations are, as it is, cast in stone, is law. We do not have, as a tourism board, any flexibility to say you are an upcoming or emerging entrepreneur. We will waive these provisions and for you to come in, and that's the difficulty for people entering the tourism industry. So through the years we have agreed, and I think it has been proposed also within the National Tourism Growth and Development Strategy, that us must more concentrate on destination marketing so that we unbundle, which I totally agree to, because the point that I want to make is that if you have a 2-bedroom house and of course your children are out and you want to rent it out, it becomes a momentous task because you have to first obtain health certificate and a license from the local authority. Then you must register a company with BIPA, and after that you must go and register for tax purposes. And once you have done that, you have to come to us. We need to register you, but then there are specified standards, how big your room should be, what are the items, furniture and fixings that are supposed to be in your room, which becomes a issue. And now with the disruptive technology in the tourism industry, especially Airbnb, it has become a difficult task even for us as an organization to monitor and police these unlicensed operators, so to speak. So the best would be, from my perspective, and that is what we are advocating and are trying to sensitize government about, is to unbundle that. So that more people can come in, because when you look at, because we just recently received statistics from the Airbnb in South Africa, so we wanted to see what is the spread of people who are using that kind of an accommodation. So out of 32,000 bed nights only for last year, about 18% has been used by Namibians. And we want to say tourism industry is supposed to be inclusive. And largely Namibians, we are traveling with our own family, and the space of an Airbnb allows for that because it's largely self-catering. So by protecting or prohibiting these people to come into tourism industry, we are at the same time excluding the Namibians for traveling, because all the other standard normal hotels are very expensive for us to stay in. So these are the kinds of things that we need to look and balance.
I'm asking that because you always hear this sentiment of exclusion, that the tourism industry is dominated by some demographics of society, and other demographics are excluded. So what should be done then to make sure that there's a bit of equity? You spoke about rules and being cast in a stone, and I agree that it should be like that. But there ought to be some way in which then smaller upcoming operators, especially from the previously disadvantaged groups, should be able to enter the industry.
Actually, what we have done, when we looked at that over the years, I championed the program for what I used to call market support for upcoming SMEs. So we used to take them on international trips to Europe, but what we soon realized is that the upcoming SMEs has no finesse and understanding and appreciation how best also to run business. So what we then did was to come up with the venture and entrepreneurship creation program with the University of Wits through their business school. And we have run, I think, 4 sessions, which we trained more or less close to about 220. And I think that showed us quite a lot of results, because out of that program, there are now emerging entrepreneurs who are running very good, successful businesses, such as, for example, Hilia Iwete, who has a lodge in a cultural setup called Ongula Village up in North. Then you have the Vulcan Rhino that have come up. So we have done that. So along that, what we have been doing was running awareness sessions for people to understand what kind of businesses they can go into tourism industry, what are the barriers. And then over the years also, it was very difficult for previously disadvantaged persons to even get a loan from a bank. But now the financial institutions have come on board such that the Development Bank of Namibia has a dedicated portfolio for financing tourism businesses.
Definitely. You are a CEO of a state-owned enterprise, and there's always concerns about the state of SOEs in the country. How is the situation at NTB? What are your challenges? What are the opportunities?
Yeah, basically from the side, I probably, if I could start with the opportunities, is that yes, definitely we can be able to grow the tourism industry besides the source markets I have mentioned. We, in terms of our new strategic plan that we have crafted, which has been submitted to government, we're looking at branching out into Asia. Although we're doing China, but we don't do greatly because, I mean, imagine a country of that size, we only are spending 2 million Namibian dollars. And with the exchange rate, that is just a drop in an ocean. But then we have identified destinations such as Malaysia. We have identified destinations such as Australia. And then, of course, in Africa, we looked at Nigeria, we are looking at Kenya as other possible destinations. So if we could attract and drive more tourist arrivals in the country, more people can enter the tourism business, especially upcoming emerging entrepreneurs could then directly benefit. But as soon as we are not able to do that and we continue to sustain and focus on the current source markets, the pie cannot grow. So that's an opportunity that presents to ourselves. The other opportunity again is, as I said, if we can unbundle the restrictiveness of regulating the tourism industry, because when you look at countries that we are supposed to be competing with, such as South Africa, Botswana and Mauritius, the mandatory regulatory functions have been unbundled. As long as people can only have a license to operate, you do not then need to conform to certain standards to say the room has to be 12 square meters and you have to have a bed, the mirror. That in fact limits the creativity of the person. So now with the new era and the change of the dynamics of the clients that you have, millennials and so forth, you need to be very creative for your business to stand out. So that is another opportunity that we are having. As for the challenges, as I sort of alluded to, the funding that we are getting as an organization limits us in terms of really trying to grow the tourism industry. The other challenges that we have is that as much as Namibia is a very boutique destination, and we are pitching it at that level, that basically the government policy is that we are a low volume and high yield, meaning we want to have lesser tourists coming in who have money. But with that couples the issue of customer service, which as a country, including no matter tourism industry, but it's even banking industry and wherever, we have that problem, which is another challenge that as a destination you cannot couple and package that in its holistic nature.
Definitely. The last question, Digu, again is about, you spoke about the mandate of marketing the country. I'm going to ask you this question because if I don't ask you this question, my viewers will not forgive me. A couple of years ago, there was money that was paid by government to a certain official, and the idea was to market the country. I'm referring to the Kora event. I know it's sub judice, it's before the courts, but I'm sure there's a thing or two that you can say about that matter to say, what is the status of that Kora issue, and what is NTB involved in the litigation process, or you're just waiting for others to sort themselves out in court and then you demand your money back?
Yeah, basically, as you rightly say, the intention was right if this event had taken place. And as you rightly say, we did, with the support of our line ministry, bought the package for television rights, for which we also created the adverts that would be flighted both at within Namibia and also across Africa. Unfortunately, that has not happened. But since we are the custodians as an organization that had signed the contract, we are obliged and obligated to litigate on the matter. And that is what we have been seized with. And the matter is before courts from the 27th to the 29th of April for it to be finalized, because we have done all we could to try and recover the funds, but it is we're not able. So the only manner to do this is through the right channels, which is the courts, basically.
So a new government is being ushered into office tomorrow. President Hage will be starting his second term. And so what kind of lessons can we learn from the thing, such as the Kora issue, going into the second term and moving forward as a country? What are some of the, again, I have followed this matter very well from the beginning, and I agree that the intentions were perhaps okay. But what are some of the lessons that we have learned from that matter?
Yeah, basically, sometimes the lessons we have learned is that actually we need to assess some of these issues and see the impact that it will have to do, and jointly consult on the matter and take a, based on the facts that are available, take a decision to see jointly whether that is something worth investing in or not. So basically there has to be that open kind of dialogue and communication, and for us to be able to make inputs into as various role players in this, and then collectively we then take a decision, then it will be helpful.
Definitely. So okay, so thank you very much, Digu, for coming. Our prayer really is for this corona thing to end, because tourism is such a backbone for our country, and we hope this is not the peak season, isn't it? But we hope.
Yeah, it was about to be the start of the peak season.
Yeah, exactly.
In April.
Yeah, look at that now. So we hope that we'll be able to contain it, and that somehow by the time the peak season is at its peak, that maybe things will be much, much better.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the distribution chain of the industry itself, the ramifications are very huge. It's unprecedented, because it's not only about Air Namibia that has lost income flying tourists in. You have the shuttle drivers who must shuttle people from the airport to nearest hotels. They don't have clients, so they're losing out. Then you have the tour operators who are supposed to move people around in Namibia. They don't have business. So equally, the hotels, lodges that are supposed to accommodate people do not have money. So some are individual business owners, some are big businesses that are employing people, so your employment is being affected. But it's not only that. The worst part of it is that you have an individual person who does these artifacts that we are seeing in front of us, who are selling directly to tourists and are able to that way sustain his own way of life. Of course, there's no tourists, they cannot buy these items at that grassroots level. So actually the impact is not only at the higher level of businesses, it is right through to the grassroots level, because ordinary Namibians were generating income by selling this type of items. Some people have cultural villages where, like in the Himba people, where the tourists would be going and look at the way of life, and that way they were getting money. These tourists are no longer coming. So those people must find a way how to sustain themselves through this period.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Noabeb, for coming.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. That was Digu Noabeb, the CEO of the Namibia Tourism Board, discussing with us a lot of things, including, which caught my attention really, is the ripple effects that this current coronavirus scourge is having on all of us, including people at the very bottom of the chain. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Hello and welcome to Chill Sessions. My name is Michael Kayunde. Joining us today is a man with so many AKAs. Some call him Pumumu, some call him Mr. Chelete, and some call him the father of the industry. His music has stood the test of time. He burst onto the scene in the early 2000s. In 2004, he released his first album, Tanauka. In fact, in the same year, he followed it up with his second album, Zula to Survive. Today, he's one of the most successful and celebrated artists in the land of the brave, with 12 albums under his name, a record label, multiple endorsements, and most importantly, a community of fans. Welcome to the show, Gaza, aka Gazlam. How are you doing?
All right, yourself?
I'm good.
It's a pity we can't shake hands, and now we have to do the whole elbow thing.
Oh, we have to use our feet.
Yeah.
But we are celebrating independence tomorrow. And I really want us to take it back to 30 years. Let's take it back to 1990. Namibia is gaining its independence. Who is Gaza at this point in time, and how much do you know at this point in time that you are going to become what you are today?
That time I had no idea. I think that around that time I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. I just turned 13 on the 10th of the month of independence. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I really just didn't know what independence is, what it's going to bring. Growing up in an apartheid era is like, you see these things happening all the time. And then sometimes it's like maybe that, the police came to catch someone from the neighborhood, and then it's a whole commotion. Yeah. And but the commotion of independence came, and it was lasting. Like, okay, next week again, there's another march. People are marching from Oshakati to Ongwediva. Mm-hmm. Some are running to Ondangwa. We are in the midst, but we don't know what we're doing. We're just kids, just following the hype and stuff like that. So I can't really say that at that point in time I knew exactly what independence is going to bring to me. Mm-hmm.
So we fast forward to early 2000s, you start making music, you release your first album. What sort of sacrifices have you made to become the name that you are today? Because you are one of the most successful artists we have.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean when you want to define success. What I regard as, or what other people regard as sacrifice, to me might not be the case, because, ever since I quit my day job and started doing music as full time, there was never a moment where I ceased investing in my music.
You had a full job at some point?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't know, we have just been, enjoying your music and seeing you in the music limelight for the longest of time. It's like
after university, because I studied at Boston Business School in Cape Town. Mm-hmm. I started working for AIM Publication, and then after that I worked for Benvintuk, and then within the same year I worked for Minolco, Namibia. And then after that, I went to the UK, and then that's when the music called me back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yes, I used to have a day job. So when I dedicated my life to music, it was disappointing to a lot of people, my mom included. Mm-hmm. But I'm sort of a spiritual person, so I felt like something is calling me to that direction, and even if I have to disappoint people that loves me, that cares for me, I think in time it's a risk, but I took it proudly, and I'm glad that my instincts didn't lie to me, because I was going to disappoint a lot of people, but after a while they were all proud of me. Yeah. But basically I cannot remember a moment where I was not investing in my art. Mm-hmm. Up until today. So this is why I'm saying that maybe what you call sacrifice to me might be normal, and what you call success is also maybe different for me, because for me it's not the money in the bank or the car that I drive that defines my successes, but it's a number of people and a number of lives that I touch, and how many people are supporting me, behind me, encouraging me to do things I didn't even know that I had the courage to do myself. That for me defines my success.
You just mentioned quitting your job. You know, that is one of the biggest sacrifices now, if we are talking sacrifices. Considering how you just mentioned that, you know, you knew, you were aware of how many people you were going to disappoint. And when you guys came into the industry wasn't as, you know, developed as it is today. Do you remember receiving your first check? How much was it, and how did you feel? Like the first check from your music that you can buy a car or something that is, you know, worth something.
I don't think I ever received a check that was enough to buy a car, but like with my first car, I just did it's like a collective from all revenues, which will be t-shirts or CDs and then shows put together, and then I bought my first car. You know, because it was also around about the time I started becoming responsible. You know, because I mean, coming to seek for survival here in Windhoek, it's not easy, and you meet a lot of people and a lot of friends that will convince you to do other things. You know, so I'm just glad that I have the whole experience of being in a gang, for instance, and being locked up and you know, being a petty thief, and to doing like big crimes and stuff like that, because then that gave me the opportunity to be able to tell the difference. Imagine I was just like a good guy from the beginning, and then I would never know what's on the other side. So now when I tell people, you know, to repent from, you know, to shy away from crime and things like that, I really mean it, because I know what's on the flip side of that.
Yeah, because
you know, I've lost friends like just from a gunshot. Like you're with your friend now, and then next moment they're gone, and they're gone forever. And they're like some people had so much potential in their lives, like they're just stolen away from you like that. And you know, there's only two ways if you do crime, for instance. It's either you end up in jail or you die. So I'm glad I've had that experience, and I'm loving what I'm becoming now, because I feel like it's still my spirit that's leading me, that the one that told me, come back from England, your music is calling you back in Namibia. And then you know, leave your job, disappoint people, concentrate on your music. And I'm at the platform now whereby I could almost say, like musically, like I have connections like around the world. Although I'm not yet doing the collabos and stuff and big things, but we talk. So they give the insight in terms of music and what to do, what not to do. Yeah, so that's a great thing.
You just touched on how, you know, you used to do so many things, and I'm assuming, like being in the gang and all of that, I'm assuming during this point of your life, you know, you are also popping as Gaza the musician. You know, obviously you are a family man now, but back in the days, how did you deal with things like groupies and stuff like that?
You know, that stuff has always been there, let me say, all my life, like, because first of all, like being in a gang, like, was a way of life. You know, when you're growing up from poverty, you know, your mother doesn't have time for you. And my dad passed away when I was like 12, I think, or 11, just before independence. She won't have time for all of you. And then you might feel like she doesn't love you, but she's just, because she's dedicating her time to making sure that there's something on the table for you guys to eat. And with all that time on your hands, you end up in the States, and then you get this advice, and you see other people are popping, you know, and you want to be like them, and then they tell you that you have to shoplift and whatnot, and then it becomes organized until you have a leader, and it was a way of life. Coming to Windhoek is just basically me having this talent. I don't even know that I had it then, and I have my diploma, and I want to get a job, and I'm not getting a job, and then I'm meeting people are making music, and then I gave my little contribution, and it was highly valued, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this, you know. So basically, being in a gang, even here in Windhoek, it was just looking for some sort of belonging, you know, like just wanted to belong somewhere, you know, to people who value you. And then when my when my advice and my contribution to music became highly valued, and that's when I made less time for other things, and also by that time my wife now was pregnant, and then I started also being more responsible, and now my decision just went towards the music, because I also felt some sense of belonging there. So I felt like, you know, I still have friends that are in the streets and stuff like that, and they still look after me and stuff like that, and that's the path they chose, and I chose my path of music, and they respect that, you know, because they were says like, you know, if you join a gang, for instance, you can't get out and stuff like that. It's all a myth. Everything is all up in your head. Once you make a decision and you stick to it, and that's it.
I mentioned how, you know, you are a father figure in the industry, musically, to so many people. With 12 albums out, and you are but maybe later this year, you did mention that you are working on something. Who do you look out for advice at this point in time, as far as your career is concerned? Because so many people come to you for advice, but when it comes to you, who do you look at? Who do you go to for advice musically and career-wise?
Yeah, it's kind of different and tough, especially in Namibia, because everybody's now holding back, because everybody wants to be number one. You know, so, and I'm just so happy that over the years, when we started, like, the industry was not as developed as it is today. So we kind of, with the experience that we got from there, we kind of used that to develop the industry at the same time. And now that the world is like on the palm of your hands, like everything is so digital nowadays, you learn a lot from the internet, and also in terms of advice, like when you go outside, for instance, when I'm making a song with Davido or shooting a video with them, and I'm in Nigeria, and I try to see how they do things there, you know, and pick up that experience and bring it back to Namibia. You know, sometimes that experience, if it's too expensive, you try to simplify it to say, how do you do it in an affordable manner? You know, when you go to Miami and you meet Nyanda, you try and study the industry, you know, and it's not hard to study the industry. If not on the internet, you can also just flip channels on the TV while you're in your hotel, and just look at the commercials, for instance. They will kind of indicate to you what type of music people are listening to there, and you want to find out why, and you know, and also just ask questions, because when you're working like with big international artists, they feel like giving you advice, they have nothing to lose, you know, and it's better that way. Whilst in Namibia, a person will know how to do a certain sound, but they will not want to share it.
Why do you think that is?
No, because everybody wants to be number one. It's too many fish in a small pond.
Talking about music, yesterday you shared a teaser of your new single, Kasi Moses. The teaser that we saw, you know, we can't wait to see the entire music video. Tell us more about that music video, how you recorded it, and when it's dropping, all the details that we need to know about Kasi Moses.
That song was recorded last year, I think around July there. So it's just a song, you know, after I did the Misunderstood album, and it was accepted, because that was a big fear for me, because now I'm forced to do this Kwaito music, and I'm forced to do house music. But you all know, when I started with Tanaoka, and that's my passion. Like that's the Afro vibe that's going on today. That's what I started with, and I'm feeling like, okay, the music scene is changing to my corner now. Can I be comfortable, you know? And I started teasing with your swagger, and people loved it. And then with Misunderstood, I went in more, and the reception was great, and people are still listening to the album now, which is over 2 years now. Now with this one, it's just something about the beat, and then I decided to be honest to myself and just say, look, let me just be the musical me. Let me not confine to a certain genre or hype of what's happening now. And that's how that song was recorded. And then I didn't even think it was a great song, but then I think around December last year, no, around August last year, during the trade fair, Ongodiva trade fair, I was going to the village, and then I was playing the song and I snapped it, and the reaction was crazy. And it made me look at the song twice, like, okay, maybe this is a good song, you know. But basically, if you are ever to have an experience in our studios, we don't really take music that serious. We play, so when you are playing, you don't know really what's going to grasp the people, you know. But we do it passionately. This is why I think, and we put a little bit of our soul in every song we make. So this is probably why people are feeling connected to it, because it's not, although we are playing, it's not fake, it's real.
Yeah, because even the name Kasi Moses.
Yeah.
What inspired the title of that?
Yeah. No, the title is actually from that snippet. Because on the song I said, I am Gashi Moses, I'm just like Moses with his stick walking in the desert. And then people just said, hashtag Kasi Moses. I'm like, this is not bad.
when you snapped it, you didn't have
no, it was just Moses. Yeah.
It was just Moses.
Yeah.
Because no wonder in the teaser that you shared, at the end, it says Moses.
Yeah.
Because I showed my friend and it's like, isn't it Kasi Moses? Why is the end just Moses?
Yeah, no, the name is Kasi Moses. And then from there, I contacted Trio Media for a concept, because they've done a few videos in the past. They are not well known, but they've done a few videos in the past, and I was like, there's something here. When I paid attention to details, and then we were going back and forth with my idea. No, how about like this? How about like that? And then until we came to an agreement that okay, this is the concept we are taking. We are going like this, and then. From there, they did all the wardrobe that we are wearing on the video, whether it's the guys or the girls, to the rings and the crowns. Everything was all made from scratch.
So you didn't buy anything?
No, the gold and check trousers, that's from Ingo Shanyenge. And then Imagination Studios, those are the ones we choose to shoot the video, basically. Yeah. So, yeah.
Is it a single from an upcoming album? When can we expect a fully fledged body of work from you?
Moses is probably the first single, and I'm probably gonna drop maybe two more singles. Because this one the song is chilled, and then I have to drop a summer song, which is something that everybody can dance to.
Yeah.
And then I think upon the third single, then the album is already. The album is ready now, but it's just the strategies that we are using to promote the album, and now everything is also disturbed by the coronavirus. So
that is so bad. How has it impacted Gaza and his business, the coronavirus?
Yeah, badly. But everything is a challenge. As long as we are breathing, we still have a chance. It's challenging, but it's just challenging us to think out of the box. So that's probably what we have to do. And with my team, if you can ask them, I make them sit even on a Sunday, say, guys, this is getting serious. What are we going to do now? And then we just put ideas together. But we're going to start rolling the ideas out now, just to make sure that we choose some sort of replacement for revenue streams. You can't just say that now there's corona, now we're just going to sit and wait until it's done, and then we can have shows again. No.
Yeah. To wrap up, I just want to to get what is Gaza's independence message this year?
Yeah, these are tough times, and I think speaking under correction, we are one of the last African countries to be independent, right?
Yes,
I just know that
I think second last.
Yeah, I just know that our independence comes before our independence inspired South Africa. So it's really rough. It's a rough year. We just came from a rough election campaigns and court cases, and and the dust is just not settling. And when the dust is about to settle now, and then the coronavirus comes in again, but just to compare and show my gratitude or appreciation for independence is that this could have been worse should it had found us before independence. Yes, these are rough times, but they're just here to test us, you know, and this is how, this is when you will recognize the strength of our leadership, for once, and then you also get to recognize maybe the unity within the people, because maybe such harsh conditions are also necessary for us to start recognizing each other's values and maybe form a mutual respect, and that will bring about unity, you know, because when we are in trouble together, we become friends. Yeah. It's when we are relaxed and everybody's on their own, that's when we can formulate groups and become enemy. But now we have one common enemy, which is the virus, and we have to contribute everybody so that we can kick it out. But I'm just saying that I'm grateful that this virus happened after independence, because it could have been a lot worse before independence, because then we didn't even have rights. And this is the beauty of independence. Then we didn't even have rights. By 7 o'clock, virus or no virus, everybody's supposed to be at home. Yeah. And now it's a big thing that we are, you know, self-isolating. But then it was a command, and you don't even, you were not even allowed to ask questions then. Can you imagine? An order. Yeah. Now you are asked nicely, politely, please stay at home.
Please self-isolate.
That's the beauty of independence, you know. And the mere fact that we can be creative now and be innovative in our own space, that's the beauty of independence, because before you can be as creative as hell, but you will not get those platforms or an opportunity to express yourself. And I'm talking about being innovative and being creative across all industries, whether it's mining, whether it's architecture, whether it's media. Yeah. You know, you because of independence, is because this is why you see all these things. Because, and I believe in Africa we are far ahead of a lot of countries. A lot of us Namibians were just a bit ill-traveled, and we don't know what's going on with our neighboring countries even. And whenever I travel, I always long to come back home. And if I'm to survive, or the rest of the nation is to survive this situation that we are facing now, I'm telling you now that I'm glad that you guys have to survive it here in Namibia, because should you be elsewhere, I think you will suffer more.
Well, there you had it. It has been another edition of Chill Sessions. My name is Michael Kayunde. Until next time, it's goodbye.
Hebrews? Here? How dare they expose their lowly presence to the holy eyes of our Pharaoh?
I'm told by Imhotep that one called Moses claims to be a messenger of God.
Then their tongue should be cut out for speaking such heresy.
Great Pharaoh, the Lord God says unto you, let my people go.
What makes you dare say such a thing to Pharaoh?
I am a messenger of God.
Who is this God, Moses? What does he look like? And just where is this God?
Look to the sky, Pharaoh, and you will see his face in the blaze of the sun.